A very good morning, dear children. Today we are going to start with chapter 7, metals and non-metals. In the previous chapter, we learnt that matter can be divided into elements, compounds and mixtures. And we generally learnt a lot about each one of that. In this chapter today, we will be learning only about the group of elements. We'll be concentrating on how exactly elements are divided. So elements are basically divided into three: metals, non-metals and metalloids. Okay, we will be learning about the physical and the chemical properties of metals and non-metals in detail. So first we will start with metals. We will learn about the physical properties of metals. The physical state. We know that metals are solid and hard. Now here there are exceptions. That is, mercury and gallium are the two metals which exist in the liquid state. Remaining all metals which have been known till today are solid in state and they are very hard. In that also has an exception, that is sodium and potassium are the two metals which can be cut with a knife. That means they are not hard. So we'll repeat this point. Metals are solid and hard. Exceptions are mercury and gallium you will find in the liquid state, and sodium and potassium, they can be cut with a knife. That means they are soft and they are not hard. So the physical state of metal is solid and hard. All metals have luster. Luster is nothing but they have shiny surfaces. We know that all metals are ductile. Ductile means they can be converted into wires or they can be put in the form of a wire. That is, they have the property of ductility. All metals are malleable. Malleable means that thin sheets of metals can be made. That is, they have the property of malleability. All metals are good conductors of heat, which means that if you heat it or if you bring it near fire, it is capable of converting or transferring that heat from one part of the metal to the other part. Okay, in this the best conductors of heat are silver, copper and aluminium. We know that metals are good conductors of electricity, which means that if I connect it in the circuit, it will be able to transfer the electrons from one part of the conductor to the other, because of which the electricity will start flowing and the bulb will glow. However, here you have exception. Okay, lead is a bad conductor of electricity. Even though it is a metal, it is a bad conductor of heat also, and it is a bad conductor of electricity also. All metals are dense, which means that they have higher density as compared to that of water. So what happens is, if you're putting a metal in water, it will sink to the bottom. Here again you have exceptions: sodium, potassium, aluminium. All three have lower density, which means that if in case you put it in water, it will float because it has lesser density as compared to that of water. Ideally, metals have high density. All metals are sonorous. Sonorous means that they have the capability of producing sound. So when you hit on it, it will produce sound. That is why they are sonorous and they have the property of sonority. All metals have high melting and boiling point. Okay, which means that if I need to melt or boil any metal, then I need to increase the temperature. Okay, here again you have exceptions: mercury, gallium, sodium and potassium. These have low melting and boiling point. Now till here whatever we did it very quickly. Why? Because all the physical characters of a metal and non-metal we have already learnt in the 7th standard. So all that we have done till now is just a quick revision of what we have already learned. So we'll just look at the properties of metals once. We know that the physical state, we know they are shiny solid substances. Okay, they are very hard, they have the capability of being formed into sheets and wires. They are very good conductors of heat and electricity, and they have very high density. So this is what we have seen till now. Now we will look at the properties of non-metals. We know that whatever we have told till now, the opposite of it is that the property of non-metal. Okay. So, physical state. We learnt in metal the physical state is only solid. However, in non-metal, the physical state can be solid, liquid and gas. What does that mean? It means that the non-metals which come, the examples of non-metals, there are non-metals which are solid, there are non-metals which are liquid, and there are non-metals which are in the form of gas also. Like for example, carbon is in the form of solid, bromine is in the form of liquid, hydrogen is in the form of gas. Okay, now the solid non-metals which are there, they are brittle. Brittle means that they can easily break. Okay, so in metals, when we were learning, we learned that they are solid and hard. Correct. In non-metals, we are learning that they can be either solid, liquid or gas, and they are not hard, they are brittle. Brittle means they can easily break. Okay, now here you have an exception. Diamond, even after being a non-metal, we know that it is one of the hardest natural substance which we have. So an exception for brittleness is diamond. Non-metals are non-lustrous items, which means that they do not show any kind of shine. But here again you have the exception of diamond. Diamond has shine even though it is a non-metal. Okay, diamond, even iodine crystals are there, they also have shine. So non-metals in general do not have any kind of shine. They are non-ductile. Non-ductile means obviously they are brittle or they break easily, so it is going to be very difficult to make wires out of them or to make sheets out of them. That is why they are said to be non-malleable and non-ductile. These are bad conductors of heat. That is, if you are holding it at one end and at the other end, if there is fire, your hand will not burn because heat is not getting transferred from one end to the other end. Okay, so they are bad conductors of heat. They are also bad conductors of electricity. Now this picture shown here is just a way to make you understand that here it is shown as a plastic toy. It is actually just an example. If in case, in place of that, if I am putting any kind of a non-metal, the bulb is not going to glow. Why? Because they are not transferring the electrons from one place to another. And that is why, because there is no electron flow, there will not be any kind of electricity generated. Alright, so they are bad conductors of electricity. Here, however, you have an exception. Graphite is a non-metal, but still it is a good conductor of electricity. Density. They have low density. All non-metals have low density, because of which they float on water. They are non-sonorous. Now here it's just given as an example of carbon. Carbon is a non-metal, it does not produce any sound. Same can be applied to others also, that is non-metals do not produce any sound, and that is why they are said to be non-sonorous. Non-metals have low melting and boiling point, which means that even if you increase the temperature, it will start melting and boiling. You don't need to wait for the temperature to increase to a very high extent. As you can see here, the substance is already started melting by keeping it in hot water. The same thing can be applied to non-metals also. Non-metals, they start melting and boiling when the temperature is increased. You don't have to wait for the temperature to be very high. Here again you have an exception, carbon or boron. Carbon and boron, even though they are non-metals, they melt only at higher temperature. Now, this again is a comparison of the characteristics which we have seen in metals and non-metals. Metals we have already seen. Non-metals, as I told you, they can be in any of the forms, solid, liquid or gas. If it is a solid, it is going to be brittle, which means it will break down very easily. They don't have any kind of shine, they are very dull. They cannot be put up into wires or sheets, so they are non-ductile and non-malleable. And they are bad conductors of heat and electricity, and the density of such substances are very, very low. So this is just till now whatever we've done is just a very quick revision of what we have already learned. Okay, now metalloid. Metalloid is a type of an element which shows the property of both metal and non-metal. So it is like it may have various properties of metals, it also has various properties of non-metals. So because it is showing the properties of both metals and non-metals, you put it in a separate group altogether and you call it to be metalloid. Now coming to chemical properties of metals. In this, we will be learning how does metal actually react with different substances. Electronic configuration. We have already learnt in the previous chapter what is electronic configuration. It is nothing but it tells you how exactly the electrons are arranged in the shells of the atom. Here, you should note that metals normally show the presence of up to 3 electrons in the outermost shell. For example, here sodium, which is denoted as Na, has 1 electron in the outermost shell. Magnesium, denoted as Mg, has 2 electrons in the outermost shell. And aluminium, denoted as Al, has 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So normally it is seen that metals carry up to 3 electrons in the outermost shell. And because of this, metals have the ability to always give away the electrons or to always donate electrons. As you can see here, sodium is donating one of the electron which is in the outermost shell to become stable. And because it is giving away one electron, the charge on sodium gets converted from Na, it becomes Na plus. As we have already learned, the ion which is plus is called as a cation. So, metals normally have the capability of donating electrons and getting converted to give rise to cations or positive ions. The chemical reaction of a metal with oxygen. Whenever metal reacts with oxygen, it gives rise to the corresponding oxide. For example, magnesium reacts with oxygen to give rise to magnesium oxide. If iron reacts with oxygen, it will give rise to iron oxide. If zinc reacts with oxygen, it will give rise to zinc oxide. So whichever metal is reacting with oxygen, the corresponding oxide will be formed. Now the oxides which are formed is basic in nature. How do you know it is basic in nature? Because if in case you dip a red litmus paper into the solution, the red litmus paper will get converted into blue, which shows that it is basic in nature. Metal reacting with acid. Whenever any metal is reacting with acid, it will form the metal salt and hydrogen gas will be liberated. Example, when magnesium reacts with hydrochloric acid, it will form magnesium chloride and hydrogen gas. Similarly, aluminium reacts with hydrochloric acid to give rise to aluminium chloride and hydrogen gas. If zinc will react, then it will form zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. Okay, so based on which metal is reacting, the corresponding salt and hydrogen gas will be released out. Third reaction of metal with water. Whenever metal is reacting with water, it gives rise to metal hydroxide and hydrogen. Example, sodium reacts with water to give rise to sodium hydroxide and hydrogen. If magnesium is reacting with water, then it will form magnesium hydroxide and hydrogen. So depending on which metal is reacting, the products will differ. The name will differ, but hydroxide and hydrogen will always be constant. Now similarly, we will see how non-metals are reacting. Okay, here when we were learning about metals, we saw how it reacted with oxygen, how it reacted with acid, and how it reacted with water. Same thing we will see in non-metals also. Electronic configuration. In electronic configuration, when we are seeing, obviously we will understand that non-metals have more than 3 electrons in the outermost shell. So here you have nitrogen. If you count nitrogen, you will have 5 electrons in the outermost shell. Oxygen has 6 electrons and chlorine has 7 electrons in the outermost shell. So what will be the tendency of these non-metals? Instead of donating, they will accept electrons. Non-metals, as you can see, this is an example of chlorine. What chlorine does is, to complete or to become stable, it accepts electron. Because it is accepting the electron, the total charge on the atom, like from Cl, it will get converted into Cl minus. So because it is minus, you call it to be an anion. So a negatively charged ion is called as anion. Non-metals normally have the tendency of taking electrons and getting converted into anions. Chemical reaction with oxygen. Non-metals normally combine with oxygen to form the oxides. These oxides, when reacted with hydroxides or when reacted with bases, it gives rise to salt. Let's take an example. Here, carbon is a non-metal, which is denoted as C. This non-metal is reacting with oxygen, that is O2, to give rise to a non-metal oxide, which is carbon dioxide. So here we have non-metal carbon C reacts with oxygen O2 to give rise to non-metal oxide, that is CO2. If this CO2 is reacted with a base, so CO2 is reacting with a base, that is sodium hydroxide, NaOH. Sodium is Na, hydroxide is OH. So sodium hydroxide is reacting with CO2, which we obtained from the reaction of non-metal and oxygen. When the oxide is reacting with a base, it gives rise to a salt, that is sodium carbonate, Na2CO3, and water. Okay, same thing happens when you have the oxide reacting with water. So if carbon dioxide reacts with water, it will form carbonic acid. Sulfur dioxide reacting with water gives you sulfurous acid, and sulfur trioxide reacting with water will give me sulfuric acid. So based on what is being reacted with the water, the product will keep differing. Okay. Non-metal reacting with acid. This is something which is not possible. So in non-metals, you have only one reaction to learn, and that is the non-metal reacting with oxygen. Non-metals do not react with acid. They also do not react with water. So you have only one chemical reaction that is shown by non-metal, and that is its reaction with oxygen. Coming to noble metal. What do you mean by noble metal? Noble metal are the metals which do not react, and they are found in the most pure form or the elemental form in nature. We have heard of gold. 100% pure gold is very, very, very soft, and that is why it is called as a 24 karat gold. But 24 karat gold being very soft, it breaks very easily, and that is why purposely it is mixed with copper or it is mixed with silver. So what happens is its softness decreases, and so will the 24 karat gold. If in case in 24 karat gold, if copper is added or silver is added, then it is called as 22 karat gold. Depending on how much amount of copper is added, the 24 value keeps decreasing from 24, 22 and so on. Noble metals are used for various purposes. It is used for making ornaments. It is used in making medals. It is also used in medicines. Silver is used in medicine. Why? Because it has antibacterial property. Antibacterial means it can be used against pathogens which are from the bacterial group, or it can be used against bacteria. Corrosion. The gases in the air react with metal sometimes to form certain compounds which get deposited on the surfaces. This process of spoiling of the metal is called as corrosion. Let us look at examples. Here, as you can see, there is a very reddish kind of a deposit that you see on iron. This is one example of corrosion where iron has got spoiled because it's reacting with the gases in the air and also because of moisture in the air. The greenish color deposit on copper. We have seen this Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty was made out of copper. It looks green because of corrosion of this copper, because it reacted with the atmosphere and copper carbonate was formed on the surface and it got deposited on the surface. That is why it looks green in color. A blackish color deposit is also seen many a times on silver. That is nothing but the corrosion of silver. Corrosion of metals can easily be prevented by greasing the surface or painting the surface. And that is why most of the times metals are painted, so that the spoilage of the metal because of the gases in the air and the moisture in the air can be avoided and the metals can be protected from getting spoiled. Alloys. Another way of protecting it from corrosion. Alloys or alloying is nothing but mixing of two metals together to form a mixture. We have heard of the examples before, like stainless steel. Stainless steel is made up of a mixture of iron and carbon. There are many such alloys where the entire corrosion procedure is reduced when two or more metals are mixed together. I hope you have understood the chapter. Thank you.